Jews and Muslims, and even if the Jew hide behind a tree, the tree or stone, the tree or stone will say, "Oh, Muslim servant of God, there is a Jew hiding behind me. You know, come and get him." You say, that exactly explains the Palestinian violence, the Arab violence, not resistant violence. I said, this is not because the Hadith instigates them. You know what the word of Hadith speak of? Okay, let me take a very simple example to you, for those who are familiar with the Bible. Have you heard about Armageddon? What does it say? That before the end of time, what will happen? There will be a big fight, bloodshed. If I say to a Christian, for example, hey, your Bible instigates violence against non-Christians. He says, God forbid, why? I said, well, in Armageddon it said there will be bloodshed, so that instigates you to commit violence. I think you would be entitled to say, but wait a minute, this is a prophecy. It didn't say, take your sword and start the killing. It said that God will, that something like that will happen. So it's a prophecy of something that's going to happen in the future. Not that it is desirable, not that you should do it, but it is God telling us something will happen in the future. Secondly, you know, more than one version of that hadith say what? And that would settle the issue and show that absolutely nothing to do with Jews or being non-Muslims. Had nothing to do except with the same consistent principles that we spoke about, that you're not allowed to fight or wage war except for bona fide self-defense, if peaceful means fair, or to resist severe oppression. We'd put it to rest. The hadith actually says, يُقَاتِلُكُمُ الْيَهُودِ, that before of the Day of Judgment, Jews, and by the way, notice here, Jews does not mean all Jews. Like I say, I spoke in Memorial University to the student and faculty. I didn't speak to the student and faculty for the whole world, for all times. It is a subset. That's a well-known rule in the interpretation of the Quran. Not always it's inclusive for everyone. There are limiting applications, which means some Jews will wage fight against Muslims. What does that call in the Islamic teaching about defense? Unprovoked aggression, without justification. So they will wage war against you, attack you. So God will send you to fight against them, and then the hadith continue. That only in the case of aggression, which is permissible under every law, including our own international law these days. Similarly, some people also say, but there is a hadith of the Prophet that says, I have been commanded to fight against, again, quote unquote, people until they bear testimony that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger and all of that. And they fail to understand again that hadith must be interpreted in the light of the Quran. There are preponderance of evidence that we spoke about tonight preclude the notion of fighting people because they are not believers. The hadith has been understood by many scholars to refer to people that this is the ghaya. It is not that you have to fight and the only way to stop if they believe in Islam. This is an erroneous understanding. But it means that those people are fighting Muslims in the first place, not because Muslims did any wrong to them, but because of their hatred of Islam, unwillingness to listen to the message of Islam that will be good for them. Which means then that even those who are at war with you, legitimate war, to repel aggression or oppression, after all, if they accept Islam, the very reason behind war or fighting between you and them will no longer be there. Not that you have to fight because the Quran says clearly, let be no compulsion in religion. I run very quickly, very, very quickly about what I call the broad picture without elaboration, that one must understand not only the various verses in one topic and hadith relating to them, but one must relate it to the whole approach of Islam. To start with, Islam didn't come from for conflict or bloodshed or unnecessary violence. The root of Islam, again, like we said, the root of jihad, the root of kufr, in Islam also come from three letters, SLM, actually, which means, I didn't write it here, but the root from which Islam comes is SLM, which means submission. It means also peace. Actually, the way I define it, Islam is to seek peace with God, inner peace, and peace with the creation of God, whether humans, animals, vegetation, ecology, through submission to God and acceptance of His guidance for our earthly journey here in this life. There are many key terms in Islam, eschatological and theological terms, like one of the attributes of God, paradise, all come from the same term, the abode of peace. The 5 basic objectives of Islamic Sharia to protect faith, life, mind, honor, and property is basically predicated on peace as well. If you look at the relational values in the Quran, how Muslims should relate to others, first, no compulsion in religion. There is no argument about that. It's clear in the Quran. There are so many verses in the Quran that also establish the freedom of expression and religion. If you're interested in that, I have given a paper recently in Sweden in a conference called Freedom of Religion and Freedom of Faith, Building Bridges. And I included a variety of verses in the Quran that, again, carry the same meaning, that you're free. Even if I consider your belief false, you have every right to do it. I'm not God here to hold you accountable. God will hold us all accountable in the day of judgment. I have to treat you, as the Quran says, in kindness and justice if you're peacefully coexisting. The peaceful and gentle dialogue is there in the Quran. I mentioned earlier, chapter 29, talking to people of the book and find common ground, like believe in God and revelation, seeking common ground with all, in particular the Abrahamic religion, as it's normally has been called, people who claim to be descendants of Abraham physically and or spiritually. This is in essence what we can conclude, that we really need to do some more homework before we can just jump to conclusion, in order to be critical in assessing what the media and pseudo academic writings are filling the market with hundreds, literally, or if not thousands of volumes, all in the wrong direction. I thank you very much for your good listening.
Thank you. We have, I think, we'll take questions. And please, everyone, try to concentrate on the topic and in a very friendly environment. If whoever wants to write the questions on papers, actually we have forms of papers.
Or you can ask orally if you like.
If you want to ask orally.
On this topic or others, and it's open.
Okay.
I have a question. It's not directly related, but it's about Islam and backwardness. Like, if we look at the map now, we find that most of the Muslim countries, unfortunately, they are backward. Like developing countries, experiencing poverty, ignorance, high rate of illiteracy. Why is that? Is there any reason, like in Islam, that's causing this?
2 points. On the issue of methodology, we have to make a clear distinction